This is Sunny TV.
Denzel Washington, one of the most popular names in the world. Have you ever watched a Denzel Washington movie? I encourage you to watch one. I used to tell my wife that Denzel Washington is not a good actor. He's a very poor actor, a very bad actor, because he doesn't know how to act. He only knows how to live. He lives the roles. Now, almost any Denzel Washington movie that you watch, you would immediately assume that it's a true life story, because he lives the roles so much. He goes far beyond acting. He lives the roles so much. He lives in the roles that it becomes so real to the viewer. I have watched only about a couple of movies of his that were based on true life stories. But every of his movie that I have watched have had that ring of true life. He is terrific as an actor, and many people think that he's one of the best or the best actor in history. And I cannot argue with that. I cannot argue with that. But there's something about Denzel Washington which is more remarkable than his acting. And that's his boldness to talk about his faith in God and in his Son Jesus Christ. You know, Hollywood, first of all, let me say, Hollywood did not used to be this unholy, so to speak. Hollywood used to be quite good. Some of the best movies about Jesus and the Bible that were produced in the 70s, in the 80s, were produced by Hollywood, and many of them are very scripturally correct. But since the 2000s, Hollywood have become really anti-Bible, anti-Jesus people, to the extent that people who believe in Jesus but work in Hollywood as actors or something else, who are not bold, are afraid to mention God or talk about their positions on trending controversial events or trending controversial issues, because they do not want to be blacklisted by Hollywood. Not Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington is bold to talk about God and his faith every time, anytime he gets the opportunity. One of his most famous quotes: I'd rather stand with God and be condemned by the world than to stand with the world and be condemned by God. Wow. And that's not all. There's so many fine quotes. I encourage you to go to the internet and search for quotes by Denzel Washington, on faith, on God, on Jesus Christ, and you will be amazed by remarkable quotes from the lips of one of the most intelligent actors in the history of Hollywood. So Denzel Washington loves to talk about his faith. He always says, put God first in everything. Put God first in everything. And I like that. And that's inspirational to people outside Hollywood and to people in Hollywood, to people who know God but are afraid to speak about God. I remember years ago, my wife and I were watching a program. There is this Latino American, a beautiful lady who is very popular in Hollywood. And she was being interviewed, and she said, I know that it's not popular to talk about God in Hollywood, but I believe in God. And I was so happy to hear those words from her lips. So there's a lot of pressure on God's people in Hollywood, pressure to endorse the abominations of the world, pressure to support sexual perversions, pressure to support the things that the Word of God clearly speaks against. But not Denzel Washington. And there are others. in Hollywood who are fine people. One example I will give before I go off the air on this particular podcast is Cameron Buer. I may not have gotten the name right. A terrific actress who acts a lot of romantic movies, but chops off all of those excesses of Hollywood, of nudity and sexual perversions, all in the name of romantic movies. She's a strong believer in Jesus Christ, and one day I will do a podcast on particular stories. On this particular podcast, which we call the Jesus Celebs podcast, the Jesus Celebs podcast, and we are starting off launching today with the story of Denzel Washington, a great actor indeed. So you never saw a Denzel Washington movie? Go see one. He is so good in his act. He lives the roles. He's better than an actor. He lives in the roles. And you think you are watching a real life situation of something happening, but it just happens to be that there are cameras there. That's why I ask, wow, what an actor he is. And his faith in God and in the Son Jesus Christ, he demonstrated it again just recently when he got baptized and made the pictures public. And he was wearing just a very simple, I think he got the cheapest t-shirt he could get because he didn't want to draw attention to Denzel Washington, the millionaire, with a designer's t-shirt. He got a t-shirt that I think probably got it from a friend or somewhere. I don't know. But it was about Jesus, and he was baptized, and he was ordained a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. He already was a minister of Jesus. He already was a minister. He has been ministering the word as he speaks publicly about Jesus and God in Hollywood and about his faith and telling people to put God first. But on that day, his pastor ordained him with his beautiful wife by his side. And by the way, in Hollywood, we know that divorces are rampant all over the place. Divorce. Denzel and his wife have been married for so long, and they have not been divorced. And we know one of the secrets. He loves God, and he knows that God does not love divorce. There are a couple of conditions that Jesus gave for divorce. But Jesus' priority position is for husband and wife to remain one for as long as they live. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, like this video, and share it, and leave your comments and questions in the comments below. And please type in your favorite Denzel Washington movie or movies. Thank you for joining us on the Jesus Celeb podcast. See you soon.